This is Hit Publish, the first podcast dedicated to uncovering heroic businesses secretly navigating the ever-changing digital landscape. Each episode, we'll play host to leaders in their fields discussing their adoption of the latest digital trends and related technologies, addressing the total effects on the way we market businesses and brands across all of our industries. And occasionally, we'll pay homage to the technology giants who dictate our online lives and the platforms they provide, reminding ourselves of the self-inflicted and inevitable misuse of personal data. So if this all sounds good to you, skip the terms and conditions, ignore the privacy policy, and hit subscribe.
Okay, so full disclosure, if you came into our podcast room, it looks like we could broadcast Radio 1 for a minute. It's a classic case of all the gear and no idea. So open and honest, on this particular episode, I may have slightly forgotten to press a particular button which makes the sound good. So apologies in advance. Really sorry. The sound quality of this particular episode isn't great, but all the ones going forward certainly will be. Thanks. Enjoy.
On this episode of Hit Publish.
What Cloudera does, it enables you to run that data, make sense of it, and then make decisions on top of it. At the end of the day, how many opportunities have come off the back of a white paper? We don't store any of our customer data. We don't.
Disclaimer.
We do not.
We'll put that in bold capital letters on the show notes. On this episode, we met up with Adrian from Cloudera. Cloudera believes that data can make what is impossible today possible tomorrow. They empower people to transform complex data into clear and actionable insights. Cloudera delivers an enterprise data cloud for any data, anywhere, from edge to AI. Powered by relentless innovation of the open source community, Cloudera advances digital transformation for the world's largest enterprises.
There'll also be our usual 5-minute latest news update and a reminder to please subscribe to Hit Publish, your digital marketing, online advertising and technology-inspired podcast.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Hit Publish. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah.
The next one. We've got some mango smoothies today. They're all right.
I like it, and better than the last episode.
The strawberry coffee.
It was.
It was awful.
It was a strawberry Americano, actually.
Strawberry.
Was it strawberry Americano? Yeah, it was rubbish.
Oh.
We wanted something different, but we went in to get it, and we were told it takes 20 hours to brew.
What?
So we thought, that's a bit of a long wait for a drink order. So a standard coffee, please. We're joined by Adrian from Cloudera. Hi, Adrian.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
No worries, pleasure.
How is enterprise B2B marketing different from sort of SME B2B marketing?
Good question. I think the main thing is scale. There's thousands of enterprise B2B companies out there that have all got huge teams that are making decisions on a purchase. It's not, just one person making a decision. I think that's probably the key differentiator there. If you're looking at SME businesses, you'll tend to, go speak directly to a CEO, CFO, or the director, and they'll be the ones signing off. So you can really get a good relationship there.
So enterprise level, you're trying to get through
teams
through the keyhole.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got your developers, you've got your then team leaders that all have an influence in the decision.
So you've got to be able to persuade different types of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been obviously looking into Cloudera and having a look. It's quite complex what you do, really, and it's not something that most people would know they would need until they need it.
Yeah.
I guess is what I gathered from it. So when you're a business that's handling this amount of data, and you're in your office and you go, Jesus Christ, we've got those data. What are we going to do with all this? I guess it's only at that point you decide you go looking for a service that Cloudera provides.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you market to people that don't yet know that they need you? Especially because I noticed on your sort of client list, you've dealt with startups.
Oh, yeah.
HelloFresh, I noticed one, and there's a couple of others on there. I can't remember off the top of my head now. So at some point they must have gone, Jesus, I need to. How are you reaching those people?
It's a good question. I mean, in the time that I've been at Cloudera, I'll go even higher level to begin with before I ask the question. We've been targeting roughly 8,000 companies globally. We determined, okay, this is the revenue these companies need to have before they typically start thinking at the scale that they're going to need to use us. And then the following year, we reduced that down to 5,000, and now we're targeting around 2,700 companies. So that really tells you, okay, we know our audience.
Yeah.
And these companies are typically huge enterprises, automotive industry, technology. So, for example, 10 of the top 10 technology companies use Cloudera. Mm-hmm. So we know
who are that.
I can't name them.
Oh, can't you?
I can't name them, but
are they on the website?
Yeah, some of them are.
Okay.
But I don't want to name the wrong ones just in case.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But we all know them.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So typically we know what those teams are made up of.
Mm-hmm.
So we know your data science teams. We know your IT teams. We know your platform teams. So at that level, you know that a company is going to have this type of team put together.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, through.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
How do you find out? How do you know who to target within those teams? How do you do your research to find out what
they're at that point?
Yeah.
That they're at the point of buying. So, we've got a whole stack. So we've got things that will. So there's a technology called Bombora. It tracks intent. So, for example, let's say Barclays Bank are searching on machine learning. They'll typically go to websites, read blogs, be on LinkedIn, read press releases. And what Bombora does, they're able to track all of this activity through an account, and they do that through basically IP lookups. Because if you're working within an office in Barclays, when you go to a website, it will say barclays.co.uk.
Yeah.
So then what Bombora do, I've really simplified it here. It's a lot, harder what they do. They'll determine, Barclays are surging on machine learning topics. And then what we've done, we've collated a list of 90 different topics that relate to everything we're doing. So we've got 4 key themes that we, the market doesn't know about, but internally we use them. So machine learning, data warehouse, cloud, and IoT. And basically, we've got terms for each one. So if we're doing a campaign around IoT, we'll say, let's have a look at all the surging companies that sit within our target account list. And it's what I said before, it's those 2,000 companies. We only want to talk to them. Anybody outside of that, we just disregard or we push to our partners, because it doesn't make sense for them to talk one-to-one to us. So there's that. That's one way we target. And then there's other ways, so there's a lot of awareness. So LinkedIn is a great platform for really narrowing down the target audience. You can upload a list of companies. It will say, a million users from your target account lists. And then you can narrow it down by either skill or narrow it down by, function, seniority and things like that. So that's how we start to break things down. Obviously, we've got different stages that people are in. So a lot of the target account list companies are already clients. So we're looking, how can we talk to them and make them get the best value out of the platform to renew and expand.
So you're then selling more services to the same people.
Yeah, or even just like how to use the platform properly. Because there's tons of clients out there that will have the platform, they'll have however many nodes, and they're not making use of the platform. So it's trying to really
educate them.
Education is a big part.
So what is the problem that these businesses might have before how are they storing their data presently, for example, that then need the Cloudera solution to kind of store it differently?
So the main thing is, I'll use a good example actually. So Komatsu Mining, they do diggers, huge mining equipment. And historically they'll send all the data from these machines on, oil pressures, tire pressures, how many times has the digger gone up and down. And they'll store that either locally in their own data center, or they'll store it in one of the public clouds, so Amazon or Azure. And then what they're trying to do is, what can we do with this data? We've got it. What can we do that will add value to us? So
it's not always necessarily a storage thing then?
No, we're not storage at all. So your storage can live anywhere. So here we go with my marketing spiel. So your storage can live anywhere. So it could be in your data center, it could be in the cloud, or it could be a hybrid.
Right.
And what we do, we sit on top of that. And then when you need to run, we call them workloads. So let's say a machine learning workload.
Yeah.
Cloudera will look at that data where it's sat, put it into the compute or whatever it's called. That's where I get lost in the technology because we're in technical.
Yeah, sure.
But basically, it will run a workload, and for example, a machine learning algorithm could let's look at all the data from all these machines and mining equipment and work out what is the average time before a machine breaks down and needs to go into service. Mm-hmm. So then they'll calculate, so in general, 30 days, and then something breaks down. So what they'll do is bring it in on the 29th day, service it, and it keeps running. Right. So they're basically increasing the amount of time you can have something operational. Another example is Navistar. They're a huge trucking company, like global, and they've got sensors in all their trucks. And they worked out a way that you basically have no downtime in having these trucks out there delivering stuff. So what they're able to do is, again, it's very much similar to Komatsu, is send all this data back to their HQ data lake, then analyze it and determine, what is causing issues with servicing or breakdowns, or is a tire going to burst? Yeah. And then on the top of that, they were able to reduce their cost per mile from, I'm just going to put a number out, let's say 30 cents per mile to 12 cents per mile. Right. So when they're going into their clients, they're like, well, it'll cost you 12 cents per mile.
Yeah, it'll be cheaper. So the principal problem that Cloudera solves then is not just gathering data, as I thought, because I can make head or tail.
No, exactly. It's quite hard to.
Yeah. So you kind of sort and analyze data to make it useful. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing the problem we have now with all these sensors and all the data we can collect is actually what do we do with all that, all the numbers?
Yeah.
So then you're able to create value out of nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So historically, you've got structured data, so data that sits in a database, SQL, whatever. And then you've got unstructured data, so web logs, for example. So typically only 1% of unstructured data is being used to make decisions. Right. Whereas, and what Cloudera does, it enables you to run that data, make sense of it, and then make decisions on top of it.
It's clever stuff, really.
Yes.
It's impressive.
I mean, like a warehouse full of geeks looking at spreadsheets and data and just.
There is that as well.
You touched just a moment ago on LinkedIn, and correct me if I'm wrong, I suspect that's where you, as a marketer, spend most of your time. Reaching the right audience. Yeah. Is there a reason why Facebook is the biggest social platform? I think still it, isn't it?
Yeah, by a country mile.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, your audience is on there also.
Yeah.
And they have ways of targeting them in the same way as you mentioned with LinkedIn, those through size and through salary bracket, position, etc. Is there a reason why you shy away from that? I asked this question because we've had a discussion between us, and you mentioned that you don't do that side of things so much. Yeah. Why is that?
It's typically the audience. You can't match it 100%. Everyone's using their Gmails, Hotmails. Whereas when you're on LinkedIn, you're more typically signing up with your work.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we still do Facebook. So my role, it started, I was looking after Europe, Middle East, Africa. Yeah. In January, I started looking after the Americas, and the Americas team used more Facebook than we did in the EMEA. Because we've got bigger budgets in the Americas as well. Yeah. So obviously, we need to look at budget as a
and where it's best to spend,
and where it's best to spend, and what drives the pipeline.
what kind of things are you sort of running then on LinkedIn to reach the right people? Is it literally just sort of awareness?
Mm-hmm.
I assume initially, especially for startups, it would be awareness campaigns, and then is it more on the lead gen side of stuff?
Yeah, so we'd like to think we do awareness, but we look at pipeline. So at the end of the day, how many opportunities have come off the back of a white paper, for example?
Yeah.
So when you're doing campaigns around,
do they work for you, white papers?
Yeah, in enterprise it does work a lot.
Okay.
But my annoyance with it is PDF. It's like, okay, you can't digest it nicely. It's it's kind of a static thing.
Yeah.
But then you've got to look at the audience you're talking to that are more traditional in how they consume content. All that. So we tend to do a little bit more weighted towards lead gen.
Okay.
We are about to launch, and when this podcast comes out, it will be in flight, so it's all right to say it. We're launching an awareness campaign that's we're creating a new category in the market called the Enterprise Data Cloud. So we're doing a huge push to launch
to tell
products.
people about it.
Yeah, to tell people about the product, but also the category. That we created. So,
and are you literally that on the awareness side of things? Are you literally driving people? Is it there's touch point initially, and then driving people to landing pages and white papers, presumably?
Yeah.
Do you do the lead generation directly on the platform, or do you do it on your own platform?
So we do. Well, we'll send everyone to Cloudera.com.
Just literally the website, not the targeted landing page.
Oh no, to targeted landing pages. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then we do use a mix of vendors that will supply leads as well, using their platforms. So we're not. Yeah.
Are we talking things like lead feeder and
and
lead forensics?
Not lead forensics. So we use demand base, which is very similar to lead forensics.
Okay.
Lead forensics tends to be more geared towards your SME size.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm more familiar with that. Over whatever you.
But we don't. Typically, it's not. We see someone on the website, we bring them. It doesn't really work that. We need to wait for them to come to us, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, then we use. I mean, we'll do direct media buys. So last year I ran stuff on Forbes.
Oh, right.
Take over their homepage or take over their technology channels.
Okay.
How did that work for you compared to doing stuff on LinkedIn and as a was the return versus on Forbes versus just running your own ads on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so Forbes was very much around awareness, around our cloud offering last year. So we were just driving people to our landing page and seeing what the traction was. I mean, it got plenty of traffic to it, not many conversions.
Okay.
Because when you're on a website like Forbes or The Economist or whatever, you're just browsing, you're like, get these ads out of my face, and you carry on. Unless it's, you've heard of Cloudera, you've heard of our, machine learning and artificial capabilities, and you're like, oh,
I want to go in. Right.
Yeah.
See, I see those ads a lot because I look at The Verge pretty much 500 times a day. And every so often you'd see like IBM or some other enterprise cloud company has taken over, or they've written an article, telling everyone how great their services. I generally look at them and think, I personally hate to do that kind of advertising because I feel like I'd just be stealing. Because when I go on The Verge and the articles are well written, so I end up looking at it and I realise halfway through, this is a bloody sales pitch, and I get annoyed and I'm like, go away.
Yeah,
but,
it's kind of dirty.
Yeah, it feels wrong a little bit. I mean, obviously it must work because that's why they do it. But like from your perspective, what is that like? Because I never thought of it from the actual company side. I just thought they just got me again. I clicked on the link and I'm reading the spiel.
Yeah, I mean it's a good platform to get a wider audience, right?
Yeah.
That are actively they're going on those websites because they want to read stuff. They're not just aimlessly scrolling through LinkedIn, seeing what's about and what your peers are doing.
Yeah.
So you're in theory they should be more engaged.
Yeah.
Like you. But you should. It's about ethics as well. And you should be clear that you're reading a sponsored bit of content as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And we try to do that as much as possible. We don't do like black hat methods. Like Cloudera, we're very honest and
above board. Yeah,
above
That's
board
good.
in the things we do.
you spoke a moment ago, or you mentioned a few times there, automation.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct if I'm wrong. Again, we spoke between us, and that side of things is making use of that is relatively new to Cloudera. It's not something you've always been doing.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had a marketing automation platform. So we used to use Eloqua.
Okay.
And then we've just moved to Pardot, which is a Salesforce product.
Yeah.
So, these are huge enterprise scale database, contact database like management and automation of emails, automation of workflows, but then automation of how, when someone fills in a form, if they're a particular company, if they're a particular person, if they visited particular pages.
That was sort of the question I was going to ask. Actually, how deep is that automation? How and machine learning even? On more so, how are you making use of that data when you get it from a machine learning level? And do you feel that you sort of lose touch points when it is automated entirely?
So in terms of what we typically currently, we're using it very traditionally, send your email campaigns, nurture emails, and then, contact forms, things like that.
Okay.
So it's very, very traditional.
Entry level kind of stuff,
run-of-the-mill kind of stuff. And in the past with Eloqua, I did have like integrations with LinkedIn that do lead gen forms.
Yeah.
So you can basically, as soon as someone hits sign up, they'll go into your marketing automation platform, and then you can.
And then it does everything else for you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. What's the thing with webinars? Because as I was, doing a bit of research, you guys love a good webinar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So if you look at our pipeline reports, they drive the most pipeline. So we should do more of them.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's how you look at it. But you can over-saturate and you can over-communicate, and we're conscious of that, and we're looking at ways, how can we stop blasting an individual email about one particular webinar, to your audience, and then the next day send them another one, and then another, and then another. So we're conscious of
It's like being back at university.
Who's watching these webinars? Because I assume, once you've sold your product, I assume there's extra bits and stuff you can do and more you can do. I assume that the only people that would watch those webinars are people that are already your customer. Because again, it comes back to that. Unless I know I need you, I've got no reason to visit your website. I mean,
you do get your prospects, but it is more weighted towards our customers.
Okay.
Not the content. The content's weighted to equally. Not all webinars, but in general. But you do get more customers because they're interested in, so we've done webinars before with BT, Vodafone, and Telefonica.
Okay.
So, if you're O2.
Yeah.
So if you're in France or Germany and you're T-Systems or T-Mobile, you want to know what are these other guys doing, because they've got probably the same problems. And they've done it. So.
Yeah.
And you've got a number of products you mentioned, sort of thing. Is it a case that do a number of your customers use a wide range of your products, or I guess do the webinars help kind of they're using this product of yours, and then that can kind of help show how they can use your full suite of products?
Yeah, exactly. So typically there's, we've got over 20 different products that can sit in the platform. So we try and, push the ones that we're seeing the most value from our customers. So for example, one of the products, Cloudera Data Science Workbench, it basically allows data scientists to run machine learning models within where the data resides, because traditionally what a machine data scientist would do is they download the data onto their machine, open up Power BI or whatever tool they use, run it on their machine, and then push it back out. But then if that laptop is lost or it gets corrupt, you've got issues there. So that's an example of how we would do a webinar around CDSW. That's the internal name, Cloudera Data Science Workbench. How people are making use of it and streamlining their workflows.
Yeah, okay. And it's always sort of data, and data is kind of king of you've got a lot of power if you've got all this data and stuff. And Ian mentioned in a previous podcast about the great hack film, which I've since watched, and that was very interesting. So I'm interested from a marketing point of view. Do you work with any companies that you kind of they've got all this data, and you can kind of use all that data from an interesting marketing point of view of getting not quite under people's skin, but kind of really getting into the
So going back to Bombora, that's that's our good insight tool that gives you data into what an account is doing. We basically, what they provide is a feed of data into our internal systems, and then we built out dashboards that will show, okay, if you're a sales guy, you can go in, look at your target accounts, see what these companies are looking at, and if, for example, they're looking at IoT, you can give them a call and drop them an email around that topic. And then you'll quite quickly get into conversations around that topic that then leads into other things.
I find that creepy.
I was gonna sort of go a bit more on that. In that, there's such a bad data and how data is handled, etc. has got such a bad rap right now, and specifically for new customers that land on your web, or potential new customers that land on your website. Have you felt it in the business at all that people are a bit touchy about sort of getting on board with a company like Cloudera because of on the face of it what it looks like it does? Like for someone uneducated, you'd look at Cloudera and go, they seem a bit like a Cambridge Analytica.
No. So,
but to be fair, what did they say on that great hack? There was always going to be a Cambridge Analytica.
That's it. Someone's going a bit
rubbish
too far
Cambridge
into
Analytica.
it.
So we don't store any of our customer data. We don't.
Disclaimer.
We do not.
We'll put that in bold capital letters on the show notes.
The data, and this is one of the key differentiators between us and competitors, is your data is yours. You don't have to upload it anywhere. You don't have to store it in a particular way.
So you go to them?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So then give them the tools to sort of do whatever. I guess you could almost. Yeah. It's up to your customers what they do with the intelligence that you give them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't write these machine learning models. It's all down to the customer to have a data scientist, to have data architects.
Yeah.
We just give them the tools. Whereas, so for example, IBM Watson is, out of the bag, push a data in, it kind of gives you an answer.
Yeah.
I'm oversimplifying.
Sure.
Whereas with us, you've got your data, you've got your team. At the end of the day, they know.
Here's the platform, fill your boots.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we do some news? It's about that time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good.
Let's do some news. I need 5 minutes on the clock. What do we reckon the chances are of us actually nailing this time?
0.
Correct.
No,
that's not mine.
You got 5?
Yes.
Ready, go. Apple's got their credit card out now. Only in the US though. Did you hear about this? For those that didn't know, Apple has come out with a credit card. They've partnered with Goldman Sachs. And as you would expect, it's nicely integrated into Apple Pay. Comes with a bunch of other tricks to help stand out from the more conventional credit cards. It's out in the US, and we've seen it in the wild a little bit. And what do we think? I think
it's a fashion statement. It says, "I'm rich as hell."
Yeah,
take my money.
Yeah,
just take
it's a flex, isn't it? Yeah.
As soon as it comes out in the UK, I'm all over.
I've seen it sort of on YouTube and stuff. I've been having a look. The app looks really good, but it's nothing new, to be fair.
It does look cool.
The card looks cool, yeah.
Exactly.
But it's a bit backwards, isn't it? In that when Apple Pay first came out, the whole emphasis behind it was no longer need your wallet and carrying a fat wallet around with all your cards in it and everything. And now Apple have gone the complete opposite and brought out, not only have they brought out a card, it's made out of metal, so it's heavy.
Yeah.
The app looks good though. It looks really slick as you'd imagine. The UI is quite good. When you spend on it as well, the card that's on the screen sort of changes colour into the category as you spend, and it sort of blends into a nice little touch. It's pretty secure as well. It can't be used unless you've got an iPhone.
I've got an issue with that because I frequently go somewhere without either my wallet or my phone. So I can walk into a shop and go, I've got my wallet on me.
You go places like you want on your phone. I don't go to the bathroom.
What is wrong with you, man?
Yeah, I leave in the car.
But yeah, it's quite secure. You can't use it about your iPhone. And,
that's the problem. If I go somewhere with just my wallet and I haven't got my phone on me, I can't pay for stuff.
Well, why are you doing that anyway? That's your problem. Jesus Christ. And Face ID as well. So even if you lost your card or someone stole it, they couldn't use it because they haven't got your iPhone. And even if they had your iPhone as well, they still couldn't use it because they haven't got your face. So it's pretty secure, which is good. Let's face it though, I'm dogging on it a little bit. I'm looking forward to getting my Apple credit card.
Of course you are. You're all over it. You signed up now.
Yeah. Quick, moving on. Next one. Disney Plus. Have you heard about Disney Plus?
Disney Plus. Tell us and the listeners what Disney Plus is.
Well, it's a streaming service. It was announced a while ago, and Disney are jumping on board with it. So it's going to compete with Netflix and Amazon. It's going to have their own content, of course, and bring all the Disney stuff. Now, at first, when I read this, I thought boring. They're just getting on board. But I thought I'd look a little bit further into it, and I didn't actually realise how much Disney Studios owns, and how much that is going to kill, or certainly put a dent into the likes of Netflix.
Everything. That's good.
Yeah, quick rundown.
And are they pulling out from Netflix and Amazon?
Well, this is it. This is the big thing. So just a quick rundown. Obviously, all the classic Disney movies, of course, that we all know and love, and those remakes, those live-action remakes that are popping up now. Pixar, of course, so that's Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, etc., etc. 20th Century Fox Animation, so that's Simpsons, Ice Age, Robots, the list goes on. They've just finished a deal, I believe, with 20th Century Fox, the main studio, so that's Avatar, Titanic, Deadpool, Independence Day, X-Men franchise, Lucasfilm, so that's all the Star Wars, all the animated Star Wars as well, Marvel Studios, Spider-Man, Avengers, Iron Man. If they decide to pull all of those away, which I think they're going to do.
R.I.P. Netflix.
Yeah, pretty much. They'd lose a massive amount of content. So all these other platforms, Amazon, Netflix, are going to rely on their own original content to survive, I think, if they do pull that out. And Sky as well. I've got Sky, and Sky has its own dedicated Disney channel and streaming service through Disney up there.
I reckon Sky might try and do a deal to integrate Disney Plus into your Sky package.
Yeah, I think you'll probably see a lot of that. There'll be, Roku.
Yeah.
It will come through.
Quick, move on. How much time is on the clock?
You've got 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
5 and 5, we're on 2.
Facebook now provides tips on how to improve your ad relevancy. That's a big help. Yeah. So the new metrics, so they're doing away with relevancy and splitting it into sort of 3 metrics. And those 3 metrics are quality ranking, engagement rate ranking, and conversion rate ranking. Now, apparently, this is rolled out pretty much everywhere, except for I haven't bloody well seen it, and we could do with it because it's so vague, the relevancy metric. We ran. Carry on. We ran ads before where we've targeted exactly the right people. The creative is spot on, and it's the image it connects and all that kind of stuff, and we'd still get a poor relevancy score and no real explanation or real understanding of why that is. So this sort of breakdown is going to really help. So much so, Facebook have even published like a table, a chart, if you like, that you can kind of look at and go, okay, I'm scoring quite well on quality ranking, but I'm not doing so well on conversion rate ranking. So this is a clear instruction of what I need to do to better that.
Nice, good. Wait, does it say when that's coming out?
It's rolled out everywhere, but I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it in our account. So hopefully it will land soon because that will save us a whole lot of time, I think. Good. I've got one more. And this is relevant. Google are starting to rank podcast episodes within its search results.
Nice. Well, I think that's nice. We'll have to see how we do.
We'll have to see how we work out. Yeah. But it brings up, we spoke between us about how important it's going to be when we properly launch this. Obviously, it's launched now if you're listening. But what we need,
3 of you listening,
and how we need to sort of work on the SEO within the platforms that it's going to sit on to make sure that we're seen. But now that sort of extends outside of the platforms that the podcast is sitting on and into Google search. So it just sort of emphasizes the work that we'll sort of need to do to.
And I guess that's a nice next natural step because the news feeds, Google a while ago, news comes straight up in the results there. So kind of having some relevant podcasts coming up in there,
Indeed, the interesting thing is, so how it's being done right now, Google's own Google Podcast platform recently sort of automatically will, what's it called when it takes the audio and turns it into text?
Transcribe.
It will automatically transcribe your podcast, which is great, and I'm assuming it gets some things wrong in some cases, and then turns that into metadata, which can then help the end user find the podcast. But what's interesting is that Google can also now listen to the content within using that same technology, listen to the content within the podcast to then push that onto its search platform to then help, again.
I've got an issue with that because I don't trust Google at all. So the thing is, I think they might actually be using that data to actually teach duplex, because if they've got masses of people uploading podcast data and they can actually listen into the podcast and learn what people are actually trying to say, that's just going to help the AI, the algorithms when they actually launch duplex and other, voice services.
Yeah.
So I think like with Google, they give you with one and take with the other. Yes, it's going to be really helpful, but really,
of course.
Yeah.
I see it as going to be helpful. Just embrace it. We live in this time. Embrace.
Today we've learned Simon take his phone anywhere and he doesn't trust Google. How do you get a buy?
Put them back in the compass.
Further on that, actually, we were speaking about it last night, actually, Sam, that Apple, Google, and more recently Alexa, or Amazon's Alexa, they've all been found to be, I don't think they were trying to keep it a secret, to be honest, but listening to the commands that you're asking these smart devices, and by humans are listening back, they say, to make sure that the reply is accurate and correct and all that kind of stuff. There's a big stink about that at the minute, and I think Apple certainly is the first to just say, okay, we won't do that anymore.
Yeah. Just get your tin hat ready because they're all listening.
Imagine if that's someone's job to sit there.
Someone's got to sit there.
Listen to all these households going, put a cat on or whatever these commands are in the house.
Exactly, yeah. But also, I imagine they get some stupid things that come through.
Well, it's always listening, right?
Yeah, well,
it's always listening. It's always waiting.
Exactly, it's always waiting for it, yeah.
All these conversations.
Exactly.
I mean, the press have been doing it for years, aren't they? Hacking people's phones and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
nice and legit.
That's the news. Moving on.
Nice.
How is Cloudera making use of machine learning in their marketing efforts?
That wasn't baited at all, was it, that question? So we're always looking at ways that we can put messages out in front of our audience at the right time. And Bambora is a good way to see, okay, company X is looking at all of these topics, show them some ads.
Right.
So what we did at the beginning was looking at display campaigns and LinkedIn campaigns, doing that exactly. But the problem with that is when you receive the data from Bambora, it's historical, right? So it happened last week. But typically you're going to search on the topic for more than a week. So then what we did at the beginning of this year, we worked with our own internal data science team to analyze the data and determine how we should display these adverts to our accounts, because what would happen is we'd have those 4 buckets, so IoT, data warehouse, cloud, and machine learning. And then if you searched on 3 of those topics, you would get 33.33% of the advertising spend across those 3. But in reality, you're probably looking more at IoT, let's call it. So in theory, you should weight the advertising spend more towards IoT advertising.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we've done is determined what weightings people should go in. So we've got buckets of, we've got 33 different buckets of different weightings. Right. So split across these 4 topics.
Yeah.
Right.
So you've got your 4 topics in a column, let's say.
Yeah.
And then in the row, you've got a percentage. So 10% machine learning, 90% cloud.
Right.
Another row could be 50% cloud, 25% IoT, 25% data warehouse, right?
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll look at the historical data that's come through and say, okay, well, actually, Telefonica's surging on machine learning cloud, but obviously the cloud one is more because they've got more topics within that cloud segment that they're surging on. And then we'll put them into the right row, so
Yeah.
quartiles. So there's 33 of these.
Okay.
So we've been running that for 2 quarters now, and we're seeing success in terms of, again, it's very much awareness. It's are people clicking through? Are we getting a few leads out of it?
And so, do you mean so you've got those 33 different sort of buckets or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you're serving each of them sort of kind of slightly tweaked for different ads
Yeah.
according to
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
okay.
But obviously, so we work with a media agency who manage the
Actually, buying.
the ad buy-in. So we'll do some through programmatic, we'll do some through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn. It's only now they're starting to make it a little bit more automated, where we can just feed the LinkedIn audience, build a list. Whereas in the past it had to be a manual job. So that's where we're at today. Where we want to be is now. So Facebook have got a machine learning library called Profit. And that allows you to chuck a load of data in and it will work out where it's going to be in the future. Obviously, the more historical data you have, the better. So we're looking at that. So our data science team is looking at that. And we're determining the peaks and troughs of every single account that we want to talk to, what they're going to be surging on next week. So what then that enables us to do is, well, actually, as soon as someone's interest is peaked, the advert will be there.
Right.
Because we've seen all this historical data, we've seen trends, we've seen.
So you're serving the advert at the right time,
At
basically.
the right time.
And is the creative of that advert even put together by AI as well?
No. So that's the manual part at the moment.
Okay.
And I'm sure, if it's successful, we'll probably end up looking at how we can integrate AI.
Don't know if I'm happy about that.
But again, it's not down to, because we're talking to a whole company. It's not going to be down to
One individual.
one individual. It's
Yeah,
a mix of people.
So in your internal discussions, how much or how often, or if not at all, do you talk about sort of the individual, the psychographics, what is this person's pain, what they're trying to solve, or is it just pure maths, quant, we just want to get the people at the right time, or do you actually discuss the creative, the proposition, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so every campaign that I've run, I've always looked at, okay, who's the audience, what the personas are, what are the pain points for that audience, because we want to be, again, the thing with enterprise marketing is it's not a quick thing. You're not going to click on an ad and you're not going to buy. You're going to click on an ad, you're going to go away, you're going to see a white paper, so many different touch points.
I imagine the conversion is weeks and months.
Yeah, so our average cycle is between 9 and 24 months
Oh,
before
really?
you close a deal. Because this is, it's an infrastructure, it's IT, it takes...
It's a big deal, yeah.
teams committed to sign it off, and
Exactly. You think financial services, all the checks and balances that need to happen there. So to answer your question,
Sorry.
we do look at that, because whenever I create a campaign, I always have to think about what happens to that lead once they go from our marketing automation platform into Salesforce. So once it's in Salesforce, you'll get a business development rep or inside sales rep, pick that lead up. If it's a prospect, let's say, so generally the prospects will go to the inside sales reps. If it's a customer, it will go to the account managers. And you want, these guys are talking to dozens, if not hundreds of companies. Every company's got a team of, let's say, 10 to 20 different people that you can be talking to. So we're supplying them with, talking points around, for example, we do a white paper on 5 different hybrid strategies for cloud. So what talking points can you quickly show the sales teams that they can have a discussion once that lead lands in their queues. We really dig down into.
So the sales team and the marketing team they're quite closely linked. They're not
we
two
have to
separate.
be. And again, historically in B2B enterprise, you can get a lot of friction between marketing and sales teams. Marketing are going, here's like thousands of MQLs, and sales are like, well, they're not qualified. They're not 100% qualified. They're not ready to talk, etc., etc. But then you need volume as well to get the ones that convert.
And then how do the sales team then go and approach? Do they pick up the phone, email? Do I go and book a meeting with someone, or how does that happen? How does the entire transaction go from
All of the above.
Okay.
So generally, if it's a customer, the account manager will know the company. I know of sales reps that will have a boilerplate of, hey, I'm John, I'm the account rep at whatever company. This is us. This is your Cloudera team. This is your support team. Let's say, if you've got a question, reach out or whatever. But then if it's a particular, so if they've gone to a webinar, the follow up could be different. It could be okay. When I supply the feed, I usually do it in Google Slides. I'll create a deck. This is the campaign, this is the creative, and this is the follow-up items. And these are other bits of content you can follow up with. So if it's from a webinar, they'll probably follow up like that, unless they've got other conversations going on.
Okay.
It brings me on nicely actually to sort of the tools that you use within Cloudera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming, I know that you're not in LinkedIn Ads Manager, you're not in Facebook Ads Manager. I'm sure you're obviously using your own platform to no. So you are living in there. I thought you used like a third party to create all of that on Mac.
So with when I was in EMEA, I was running the ads myself. Right. I worked a little bit with a media agency to do that for me. Yeah. But in the Americas team we will say to the media agency, we want to run this campaign. Here's the creative. Here's the landing page. Off you go, kind of thing. And they've got their own programmatic buy-in engine as well.
Right.
I'll speak to all the ad exchanges and do everything else.
And do you use Google Ads directly, advertising on Google Search?
We do. Well, not personally.
No.
But it's part of our stack again. Yeah. So search in B2B enterprise marketing is really hard because you don't have that direct conversion. So you're looking at awareness metrics to track success.
Oh, see, that's funny. I would have thought we would have done really, because as a potential customer, when you realise you need that service, the first thing you're going to do is sit in front of Google and look for it, right?
Yeah.
So I assume that would do better than, say, social campaign, because of the customer's already engaged and looking for you.
Yeah, I mean, but then it goes down to traditionally what are you being measured on? And if you're being measured on pipeline and opportunity, then you're going to pick the tactics that are going to give you the most leads for the least money, that have got more propensity to buy.
Okay.
As opposed to search, which again is very awareness, is not going to directly lead to a sale. So a lot of it just comes down to budget. If you've got the big budget to do it, then it does work. I mean, I've been running for the last 2 quarters, changing all of our search strategy because we didn't really historically have one. We did it around a few sites, like
to tick the box,
kind of thing, and we're slowly getting to a point where it's actually going to start impacting our pipeline.
Okay. Customer, especially in your industry, customer experience and satisfaction is the key to success. How does Cloudera achieve this in what I think is a relatively competitive market?
So it all comes down to, we've got a great support team. So as soon as, and customer success team, as soon as you're onboarded, you've got your customer success managers that will work with the client to really determine their needs, and then pull in people from our company or from our partner pool to really make them successful. Because at the end of the day, if they're not successful, they're not going to renew their contracts or subscriptions when it comes to the expiration date. And we're also, we've done a lot of work around the customer journey, what a company looks like. So we split it up into 6 stages. So stage 1, you're just new, your average deal size is X, or your average yearly value is X. And these are the type of use cases that you run. And as you move up to stage 6, like stage 6 is you're doing machine learning, you're doing advanced analytics, you're doing artificial intelligence kind of workloads. Mm-hmm. So we're able to determine, and we give all of the target accounts, we put them into these stages so that when, again, sales or marketing is speaking to these people, it's like, oh, okay, we know you're going to be wanting to talk about how do I make sense of my data. So that'll be typically stage one, discovery. How do I get something of value? And it's always, you've got to start small. Think of one key thing that you want to answer, and then we'll help you get there.
Okay.
I think that's what sets us apart.
I've got a bit of a curveball, maybe. Cloudera don't appeal, from what we've discussed, do any sort of brand advertising. So kind of like you see with people sponsoring Super Bowl or just general really big brand awareness campaigns. I've seen Microsoft do some with Azure, and from America, Joe Blogs, I know nothing about the cloud and all that kind of stuff. But I know Azure, I know roughly what it does or what it did. How come Cloudera don't, or do you do that kind of stuff? Do you do the brand building stuff, or is it purely just? I mean,
it's a part of what we do, but it's not. We don't have the budgets to do what Microsoft do or what Netflix do on that kind of scale.
Yeah.
But we are looking at again, I think I mentioned it already, our awareness campaign starting in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
To really make a noise about who we are. But that's more in the Americas.
Okay.
So if you're going through New York, you might see billboards around, Cloudera, the Enterprise Data Cloud.
Yeah. Do you do much on sort of the organic side of things? I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, yesterday, whenever it was, and we're talking to a chap who ran a Twitter account for WD-40. Right? So that's hard work, right? So
you can have a lot of fun with that.
You could do, of course. Yeah, you could. But I don't put Cloudera on that same level, of course. But ultimately, unless you're in it, you probably don't care about it. Mm-hmm. So do you sort of do any of that sort of organic stuff, that just touch point stuff?
Yeah.
Talking nonsense, topical stuff through your social channels, that kind of thing? Or is it strictly ads, strictly hard sell?
No, we've got a social media manager that handles that globally. We've got a platform called Everyone Social, and that is basically allows anyone that works for Cloudera to log in and look at curated content. So we'll have stuff on machine learning, we'll have stuff on IoT, we'll have stuff on our competitors that isn't shareable. And then what you're able to do is my workflow, I'll log in, I connect to my LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever other accounts you want to connect it.
Yeah.
And then you just look through the content, you hit share, and you can publish it straight away, or just hit queue, and it will automatically work out when the best time to share this content is.
Yeah.
And then also it gamifies it. So internally, we're all getting scores on how much we're sharing, how much people are then sharing on top of what use,
right.
and likes and follows and etc.
So that curated content, though, presumably that's not from Cloudera, that's other content.
No. So it's typically 90% is around Cloudera stuff. So we've got this webinar coming up, or look at this blog that our vice president of sales has written on cloud infrastructures.
We were looking at one actually, weren't we?
Yeah.
What was that one called? Can't remember.
Lithium, maybe?
No, it would be an SME type platform where it just gives you content that's good stuff, relevant to share and that kind of stuff. We shied away from it because we felt
it was a bit like an RSS feed. It was just
But this is we're able to create. If I wanted Adrian's super fantastic list, I could create it, and then it would be available for everyone in the company to go in.
Right.
It'd be a very short list, though, to be fair, mate.
I think it'd be very well.
Okay, well, we've run out of time, guys. Adrian, thanks very much for coming in. It's quite hardcore what you do, to be fair. It was interesting because we had on our last episode Georgie from Simply Social, right at the other end of the scale, freelancer, social media manager. And now we're sort of talking to you right at the other end of the scale, and the difference in method is
and I think B2B marketing or enterprise marketing can learn a lot from your small, medium, or even your freelancers out there that are bucking the trend. I mean, it's only recently we've started to do Instagram story ads, right? And they've been around for how long now?
Yeah. But I guess you'd shy away. a business like Cloudera, a company like Cloudera, you wouldn't expect to see them, I guess.
No, but I mean, you've got to be.
You've got to be where
you mentioned at the beginning with Facebook, you've got to be where your audience are, and done in the right way. You can really make an impact, whether it be just on brand awareness or whether it be.
Adrian, thanks for coming in. It's been lovely talking to you, and perhaps we'll have you again sometime soon.
Ciao for now.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode.
If you did, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and most importantly, leave us a comment or review on Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us to bring you new episodes regularly.
If you've got something to say around digital marketing and would like to feature on a future podcast, please do get in touch in any of the usual ways. You've been listening to myself, Chris.
Me, Ian.
And me, Sam.